guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Aerospace and Aviation Show by AstroCapsule. In this podcast or interview, I, Prasad Doke, had a beautiful conversation with Dr. Aravinda Ravibhanu Sumanarathna. Talking about Dr. Aravinda, he is the CEO of Eco Astronomy Incorporated Global Network and senior research scientist at High Altitude Extreme Conditions Water Conservation Project of ISTUPA. Currently, he is involved in analyzing NASA's EDR images of Meridiani Planum on Mars. He is an expert in simulating an analogous of planetary geology. He has authored more than 400 international research papers and 8 different kind of books, which we'll be talking about in this interview. He is also an astrobiologist who is researching on fundamentals of extraterrestrial life and how planetary samples correspond with factors of paleontology and petrology. Dr. Aravinda is also a Life Fellow of the United Nations organization. But apart from all this, he is one of those humans who are not only ready but are excited to share their knowledge and experience with anyone possible. So be with us till the end of this podcast or interview and listen to Mr. Aravinda sharing his amazing experiences. Aravinda sir, first of all, a very welcome to the Aerospace and the Aviation Show. And my first question to you is astrobiology is one of the fields which very few people choose. How did you get into it, or how did you get interest into it?
Yeah, it's something like that because of most of people are really interested in the astronomy and the space science. But the most important thing, how we going to be selecting kind of specific field as our job field because of the something that you are interested. It's not going to be become your future job. That's the
Mhm.
question. So that's why we design some of like newly domain which is incorporate with the astrobiology, and because of there are some of curious to study some of like extreme conditions and what kind of life out of the planet Earth, and those things are made much more curious each every day when I was just study at the my high school and the university, and yeah, actually that's curious have been a trigger to the that position selecting as astrobiology because of professionally. Uh, I'm starting my career as a paleontologist regarding the fossils and all the thing, and so finally I understood some of my fields having a little bit a similarity to astrobiology field, and there are some of part to incorporate with the astrobiology. So it's starting as some of like new things as astrobiologists and fields. Yeah.
Great. Well, about the two monograph books you wrote, Archaeochemistry Sri Lanka and The Evolution of Life in the Oceans of Mars. Tell us about that.
Yeah, actually, it's a two different domain. Archaeoastronomy is something like which is relevant to the history of astronomy, and the evolutions of Mars. It's something like directly goes with the some of like a trace simulation analysis have been done by my research crew. I think more than 12 scientists were incorporated with this project. So I'm starting with the archaeoastronomy one. Actually, what archaeoastronomy call it means like how ancient people sense with the celestial bodies. So, example, Prasad, when we study in the history of astronomy, there are some of way how ancient people trying to tracking the ancient celestial bodies, and how they going to be express themselves after they seeing the celestial body. It's really really interesting work, especially like way of they calculate the timing, and it's very important fact. And the so that's why we are supposing to develop some of things which is relevant to the archaeoastronomy. And then it's not about the archaeoastronomy in Sri Lanka, because of the majority point why we just draft that kind of a document. It's a combination of the landscape of India and Sri Lanka, because of India also having a very interesting places which is relevant to the history of astronomy and the archaeoastronomy, especially like sundials, and also we call another one a blind rooms. Blind rooms one still we didn't have in that much exact evidences. The blind rooms type things are directly involved in the archaeoastronomy. You can just find out some of like very unique cave called Edakkal cave, which is located in Kerala, close to the Kerala. And then I have been there before 5 years ago, and we have been study some of things. And then similarity location that we have been found out in Sri Lanka also before 2 years ago. So based on those evidences and the sundials, how we develop the archeo astronomy one for having a study of the how Asian people doing these things, and what kind of compatibility, and then what kind of evidences for the future people have to be taken from the past. That's the thing, how they calculate and why. So that goes with the astronomy project. And the your second question is the evolutions of the Mars. It's something like very unique project because of you know there are a lot of Mars explorations programs, and then there are a lot of rovers that they have been sending, not only NASA, like even though India tries, China, and after that they have been taken different type of photograph, and scientists going to be express their ideas based on those photographs. So actually some of photograph that taken by the missions from the NASA, so still we don't have exact clarification, yes, this places like that. So that's why additional project that we have been created with the including more than 12 scientists from the different countries, just like Sri Lanka, India, and Israel, USA, Germany, and there are a lot of scientists in the different domain, just like a paleontologist, a geologist, exogeologist, a chemist, and it's something like soup. It's a totally mix up, and we're trying to be going to export some of like images. It's interesting thing, like once we have been starting another point called meridioniperium. It means like a dead oceans at the Mars, and our challenge to explain how it's happened based on those image. And then we are going to be develop some of like analog as well as a simulation process. It means like after we see those things, and we are going to be find out similar places in planet Earth. Maybe it could be like fossils. So we're going to be compare those fossils and with the scales to the Mars. It's not that much easy work. It will take some long time because of just like rivers, a lake, like there are different type of sedimentation formation, and we've seen some of like formation just like alive. Some of us said yes, there are some of microbial activities, and but it's only simulations. So verify those things. So exactly we need some of collecting raw materials and having a laboratory testing and other thing. So before that, based on the trace analysis, this is called a trace simulation analysis by using the different type of images. The type of image we call EDR. So that's how we are doing the some of projects relevant to the evolutions of the Mars. Yeah.
Archaeochemistry is something I'm very interested in. It excites me a lot, sir.
Yeah.
So I want you to just tell about it a little, and also tell us listeners that how can they make a career in astrochemistry.
Yeah, it's something like very good point because of the archaeochemistry, it means like something like we had to go to the past and check the sum of samples and the chemical phenomena and the behavior. That's the basic principles. And then even though before we discuss the archaeochemistry and the all the thing, it's the majority domains it goes with archaeology, and also as well as some of like archaeologists or paleontologists or geologists, they are a little bit familiar with this technique. And example, if we find out the soil sample and we need to be study or analysis those sample, we have to send into the lab and having a some of like a microbial or microscopic study. And sometimes if we need to be having a dating, so we can send into some of like different type dating like uranium or carbon dating or other dating. So something like that. So same basic principle that we can just apply it for the something like extraterrestrials bodies also. But the way of we collecting the sample, it's a bit different than the sample how we're going to be collecting in planet Earth, because of those samples are totally exposed with the highly radiations. So we have to keep thinking we are dealing with the some of like sometimes highly radiations samples, and first we have to do the some of like radioactive testing, and after that dating and having a different type of chemical analysis. Those chemical analysis are so important to study it, because of that is the turning point to uh, having a basic idea for the life. Because of when we discuss about the prebiotic soup, it means like how first Asian microbial being have been evaluated in planet Earth. That's very important case. I hope most of people who interested in astrobiology, they know about the Urey and Miller test. They have been developed something like a pilot test by using the ammonia and the oxygen, hydrogen, and then it's something like pilot test, and they have been shown how we can develop something like a nucleotide as a preliminary item or factors as life. But most important thing, each every time, uh, how we going to express the life in planet Earth. Example, right now we're trying to be describe the yes, this is the life on Mars, but it's relevant to the planet Earth. So what will happen if we're trying to be describe the life on planet Earth relevant to the Mars? So it's two different questions. This is what called a simulation, but it's very curious and very hard question. We can't do it like that because of it could be changed. The formations of the life on Mars, it could be different than the planet Earth. That's why geochemistry to verify that point. Yeah.
I have the same question regarding astrobiology too.
Yeah.
So, what is the future of it?
Astrobiology, because of for me, I believe astro why we need astrobiology is for finding proper lab harbor life for each every being. It's not only for the Homo sapiens like human like us, but for the each every being, because of it's something like in cooperative system. That's why we call ecosystem. We need some of insects and other animals. We need trees. So without those things, we are unable to develop the chain of the life relevant to the astrobiology and the study case and all the thing. It's very important for the harbor life. It means like a proper place to live, proper place to live, and then how we going to be study the astrobiology. So that's why we need astrobiology, and also some of technology and the method and the things that we apply for the astrobiology. We don't need to be apply only for the astrobiology. You see, there are some of technique in paleontology and the finding fossils, analyzing trace samples, and for the analysis some of like a geological sample, those technique we can apply for the different field. But originally, these things are developed for the astrobiology, but later on we can apply for just like medicine field, like a medical field, something like in other engineering and the industrial field. Even though currently it's happened, especially like someone trying to be develop a plant in very extreme conditions, this subject goes with the astrobiology. But the same agriculture and plantation technology we can apply for the planet Earth, and it's a something like as a sustainable model. You see, I think, I hope you guys know, India also have been developed something like a soil part which is relevant to the moon, and then very it is very moon and Mars also they are working, and also currently NASA also have been developed some of a plant based on the moon sample. So that's why I told you we are doing something like activities and the research based on extreme conditions, but those extreme things we can apply for the general things, just like you and me, we seen something like trees and other things. That's what we call it. Astrobiology is something like hand of sustainable. It show new directions to the innovations. Yeah,
Amazing. The next question I have for you is there are various theories related to origin of life. So, as an astrobiologist, what is your take on it?
that's a good question, because of there are different type of theories and the methods to explain it. But for my personal view, it's acceptable with the prebiotic soup and how it's happening. But the question is, there are two stages for my view. It's something like it should be coming from the outside. Uh, Maybe someone can say it's a seeds, or after that it's harvesting. That's the something like a primitive view how I see in the astrobiology and life. So, but currently we are studying a lot of things based on the planet Earth, because of that is the a majority point that we have the evidences. But the still we are missing with the extraterrestrial things because of how it's routing, how it's tracking, and that is the part we have to be study much more study with the other celestial objects. Example like something like meteorites, comets, and also why importance of the study of the Mars. Example like at the very prehistoric time, sometimes it can be coiled with the asteroid with the Mars, and after that some of basic material from the Mars it's moving each everywhere. It sometimes it can be goes out of gravity of the Mars, and somehow reason it's very it could be very close to the our gravitational force, but directly it's come to the planet Earth as extraterrestrial objects, not like a life. But that's why I told you a majority way that we are studying of the life based on the planet Earth and its history, based on like archaeochemistry and all the thing it's available. But we are at the some point we are blocked, and there are some of barrier we are unable to explain how it's happened. Why
Right.
hydrogen, why oxygen? Because of you see our sun also we call it it's a G2 type star, so it generating different type of elements. So we believe the elements that inside of the sun and around in the solar system, it should be contained with the each every planet, but it's not revealed just like because of same elements that we have been found out in planet Earth. It's not the things that we are expected, I believe, because of life is something different than we thought. Because of we have only relevant and relative answers. Even the some of like scientific papers, it's based on the planet Earth. So that's why maybe in the future definitions of the life it could be changed, and even I think so none of not going to be true exact definitions. It's not that much easy.
You told about that. You said that Sun is a G2 type of star. So, what was that?
Okay, it means like when we describe of the different type of solar system, each every solar system is contained with the sun because of sun is the uh, energy. It's converting hydrogen to the helium. Okay, so relevant to the we call HR diagram because of example for human we have something like childhood, young age, and maybe we become something like older with our age pattern. Just like that, sun and the stars basically we call stars also having some of like life chain at the
Mhm.
young stage and the middle stage. So G2 type star means like they are in the middle stage. So it means like it's having a 4.5 billion years old right now, and another 4.5 billion years, sun can be tolerate without having any issue by converting hydrogen to helium and exposing the all the energy. So I'm pretty sure until that planet Earth is not going to be something happen there. But it's very important when we study the life and where the source of the energy. So we have to be studies, not only the celestial bodies like we call it a example like for the planetary geology, we study not only celestial bodies and the surface items, but the where it's coming from the energy, it's important because of without the energy from the our star, so the definitions and the some of like history, it's going to be change of the life. So that's what.
Okay. So as you mentioned planetary geology now, I'll like to pull you towards itself. What is planetary geology and how is it making us better in understanding the solar system
Yeah,
or the
it's a
space?
it's very good question because of previously you asked how we can just see in the life from planet Earth, and then I told you on that moment as my view. Part one, it's coming as a seed, then the cultivation part on planet Earth, and only that part we are discuss. It means like what will happen and what would happen at the planet Earth. So studying of the extraterrestrial part, it means like what is happening at the outside, and that's why we need planetary geology. It means like we have to be studying some of like raw materials.
Mhm.
That's what we call it. Means other words we can say it's a surface material. We are not due to the planetary geology. It's not acceptable to study in some of like atmosphere pressure of the extraterrestrial bodies. No, because of there are some of raw samples, it's a tangible, we can just touch it, we can collect it as a sample. So those are the things that we are going to be studying, example like soil, rock, some of like other trace samples, and sand, which is belongs to the maybe moon, Mars, or maybe other asteroid, a comet, all the things belongs to the in of the planetary geology. And then it's very important subject to study that seeds parts. If it is any life forms available with those kind of part, so then we can just think a transportation part after that. How those things are transport, and will it be any connections in between life of the planet Earth and those planetary bodies? Then the missing links that we have been previously discussed, we can ignore on that time. I don't know how long time will take into the having the exact answer for this case, but different type of scientists are working to find out this case. Yeah.
Uh, Next question for you is Mars colonization is one of the biggest projects going on now. What do you think is the role of astrobiology and planetary geology in it?
Actually, you see, Prasad, for my view, this is what we call geopolitics. We are for actually as a scientist, I am not going to be explain those things based on scientific phenomena. So it's better we can discuss these kind of things based on something like anthropology, archaeology. and the politics.
Mhm.
Because of you see, a currently world that we know, it's divided into the different type of countries, divided into the different type of religions and the nations. So my view, should we do the same thing in mass colonization? So that's the majority point. And then what kind of hierarchies people that taking the power of their example Prasad. If you need to be a purchase a land on India from the Maharashtra,
Mhm.
maybe there is owner and you have to ask him, yes, I need this land, yeah, I'm going to be pay you. So when you do the same thing for the mass, to who you going to be paid? And the sum of people who doing the colonization part, are they paying for someone? No.
Not yet.
That's the question. That's why I told you this is something question out of the scientific phenomena, and it should be belongs to the anthropology, culture, and the politics. And it's something like the domain. It's something more than we see because of maybe it will be cheapest, better than we purchase the land on planet Earth in the future. It will be cheapest when we purchase the land on Mars because of which currently we are in a huge crisis world. So we need to pump in lot of things, lot of solutions for making the planet Earth for such a sustainable way. But as option, someone can select no. We are not providing sustainable options to the planet Earth, and we selecting another body, and we are creating new rules and new policies, and then people can adapt to those policies and uh, the facts that they have been developed. It's it what I seen from this technique. It's good sometimes because of it's so easy to creating something better than we redevelop something already crisis. Yeah, and for the scientific view, uh, I think the same answer as I answering you for the astrobiology question at the previously based on Mars colonization mission. Even though last year also we have been working the Mars Society and having a different type of discussion. It's having a very nice phenomena. Some people are said no, they are not accepted with the Mars colonization. Some who are accepted, but it's not like we are accepting or not. What I seen, a technology that they have been applied for the something like for the travel for the space, like example like spaceships and all the thing. Uh, those primitive technology we can apply for the other cases. That's what my intention. It's called interdisciplinary approach and the multidisciplinary approach for sort out questions available in planet Earth. It's a good thing. So that's how I see in the Mars colonization.
Now, sir, I want to move to Eco Astronomy Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
What is it? And
Okay. It's something like very interesting question because of actually as an institute, Eco Astronomy Sri Lanka, it's developed very later on
mhm,
because of previously it's having a eco astronomy. It's a concept. It means like studying the extreme condition which is based on the paleontological and the mineralogical factors. That is what we call eco astronomy. It's a subject and the something like subdomain, and then I introduced that term at my PhD thesis on 2018. And then actually I need to mention some of specific places in India because of I have been working in Ladakh since many years. It's a very remarkable and the unique place in the world because of if someone interested to study on the extreme and the some of like simulations of the Mars. So if you need to be get the some of like a proper idea, so I think Ladakh is the best place. So and then very close to the Kashmir and it's very margin to the Himalayan border, and we gathered a lot of data. So after that we developed that concepts of the ecoastronomy. It's someone can say it's a mechanic and the concepts of the ecoastronomy, which is based on the extreme conditions. And the that's why I mentioned some of locations I use, especially India and Vietnam and Sri Lanka, or develop those concepts. And as I mentioned, it's about studying extreme conditions based on paleontology and the minerals. So it will be so easy to study in astrobiology. It's a subdomain of the astrobiology now. So someone need to be studying the astrobiology because of I know the conditions in India. It's I mean the huge competitions, huge competition. There are a lot of expertise in there, but unfortunately they don't have that much guideline. But as I seen, they do have good resources.
Mhm.
They do have some different type of fossil resources, different type of geological resources, paleontological resources. So my advice, they can use it and try to develop some of simulation relevant to the astrobiology. Then even though some of uh, highest hierarchy people, they thought what we have originally uh, as a natural source, our lands with the
Mhm.
extreme conditions, so we can use it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way how we develop the eco astronomy. And right now we have different collaborations with many countries based on the studying the similarity thing, and then we provide in some of like studies based on the geology, paleontology, and the astrobiology. And very special things I need to uh, discuss with you because of example, you see, if someone interested to study atmospheric conditions and the meteoritic impact, if it is any kind of meteorite or comet, when it's trying to pass our atmosphere, it's burning.
Mhm.
It's burning, and it's having a different type of mineralogical behavior of those celestial bodies. Like it's content with the different type of celestials bodies, and then it's content with the minerals, just like nickel, maybe like ferrous. And so it's so important to study what will happen at the atmospheric pass to those minerals. And after we study, we can apply those studies to another field. I will tell you why I tell that example. The peak of the sum of a thermodynamic, it means like changes of the temperature and how its impact to the minerals, we have been applied in Sri Lanka for value additions of gem.
Mhm.
It means like naturally we can find out the gems, but they are in a very low grade color. But we seen at the atmospheric entries of the sum of celestial bodies, some of minerals are going to be upgrading with their color and the temperature. We highlight those temperature and we apply to the current conditions, and it's having economic benefit right now. We call it value addition by based on the sum of like astronomical applications, and we are applying for the different type of applications. So that's why we need eco astronomy, studying extreme of the minerals. It's a little bit different than the astrobiology. Yeah, that's how we're doing, and that's why I told you with the example to having a proper idea.
So, Eco Astronomy Sri Lanka again. How
Okay.
would other people can participate in it?
Oh, it's something like that. After we develop the eco astronomy, so we have been pop up different type of institute. It's called Eco Astronomy IMC, which is based on Singapore. And we have been done different type of research which is relevant to the geology, paleontology, and astrobiology, as well as the some of like Mars Earth analogs. And after we publish different type of research papers, some of scientists are really interested to join us. They are personally request us to join some of our project, and currently it's developed I think more than 30 to 40 countries. So that's how gradually we just pick up the scientists based on our research. and we are providing different type of solutions, not only for the Mars analogs, for other industry also. We are doing that part, and same time we are hosting different type of very short course for the graduate, because of the eco astronomy is not originally like providing courses for the student because of we are research institute and based on the astrobiology, but the things that we are studying and the doing the research, so only very short and very minimum things we are explore with the our student, and that is how a basic things that we are doing with the our other communities and the student.
Next I have is you are a part of evolution and the origin of life and discovering possibilities of life on Mars. So tell us about the project and what potential outputs can we look forward from it.
Yeah, for that project we have been working for that Mars life project since many years, but few of our scientists they are unable to verify some of a trace samples. Finally they just send us those samples, and uh, I think approximately 6 to 7 months we have been study those EDR, and we seen some of like very interesting parts. Because of my specialized fields in Mars, it's only for a Meridioniperium, because of it means like it's a something like Dead Sea. Because of my part in the Mars, I am really interested to study only that part, because of that is my domain running on these days. Not like each other places on the Mars, because of its content with the uh, we call it blueberries. It means like something like a type of iron ball, ionic balls. And then the question is how those iron balls are pop up, and is there any life formations around in those area. When we study the those things, we have been identified there are some of like directly involved with the paleo volcanism activities on the Mars. And then other part, it content at the bottom of the sea. Right now, it has been evaporate all the water and all the thing, but some of like fragments, tracks, and the paleo evidence are still deposited as a remains. So right now we are studying those remains like chimneys, blueberries, and some of like other tubular structure. There are some of like a tubular structure. Not sure it's a life form for sample of the fossils, because of we need such a chemical analysis part. Still we don't have a chemical analysis part because of no samples coming to the planet Earth yet from the Mars. So I think after having those chemical analysis part, we can just clearly verify our trace analysis part, and then the life or other things we can have in a good definitions. I'm pretty sure if we are going to be express the same phenomena, the way of the life, what available in the planet Earth, so we are going to be approach the same application on the Mars, it's not going to be working. It's something like different model because of the formations of the life and what is happening on the Mars. It's something different than what is happening on the planet Earth. But I think you can think like that. Just imagine what will happen 3.5 billion years ago on the planet Earth. And you can think maybe before 3.5 billion years ago on the planet Earth, right now you can compare the condition on Mars. It's little bit equivalent to the current condition on Mars, some of places.
Mhm.
So that's why I told you we are in the two different time track for my view. And then but we are trying to be compare with the same time gap. It's not acceptable. That's why I told you that the life and the trace analysis, it's so compatible subjects, and there are a lot of phenomena that we may have to be think before we going to be compare each other, because of you can compare same age, but you are unable to compare different type of age. But age gap, it's scientifically it's okay. Mars also 4.5 billion years old, just like our planet Earth. But the conditions on the Mars and the sum of like planetary bodies on the Mars, it's equivalent to just like 3.5 to 2.5 billion years ago at the planet Earth. That's why we had to be so smart as a human being. The things that we are searching, none of are not going to be said like, yeah, this is the exact thing. It can be changed with the technology. Yeah.
Next question is about the analog Mars analogs in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. It's a because of according to your previous question, we are unable to reveal exact data at the moment. But why we need simulations and the analog, having a proper idea and simplify the some of complicated things. That's why I think India also having some of analog programs at the Ladakh. They just creating some of rover and bring to the Ladakh and try to operate it within that extreme conditions. And the because of it's something like very a physical analog method. But for the Sri Lankan analog and the simulation method, it's totally different. Because of we are using augmented reality. It means like it's a augmented or virtual reality. It's a something like it's those items we are developing virtually by using the different type of technique, and after that by using the computer models and methods, we paste those model at the extreme condition, and it's something like very easy technique and very cost effective technique, better than we develop the rover, and we can have in some of basic idea how we can do the things and what kind of scales that we have to be developed at the real condition. And also it is good technique for providing in education way, like something like if it is a awareness or having a basic idea for the student, and also if it is having any kind of approach to the tourism sector also, it's having a good compatibility and good feasibility around in this project. So that's why analog projects are very important to having a idea without visiting to the Mars, because of even though each every institutions planetary science and the astronomy, they are doing those simulations and the analog because of it's so compulsory thing. Yeah.
Okay, so, sir, just for one question, I
Yeah.
want to get back again to astrobiology. Uh, the genetically engineered humans. What do you think about it, and how do you think they'll be helpful in interplanetary exploration?
I think it's not my subject, but I will tell you the way of I think, because of it's a very important part, because of as I think human evolution still processing. It means like you see each every time what we are trying to do, we're trying to explore with the our physical item. It because of current human evolution what we seen, it's a physical evolution. Genetically engineering also applying for the physical evolution, but we forget something. It's a neurological evolution. If we check the cortex of the each every being, starting from the australopithecus afarensis, homo habilis, homo erectus, it's become to the homo sapiens. So the capacity of the brain have been changed, it's upgrading. So currently we said we are currently we have the memories close to 20%. So my simple question, if it is a evolution, 18 percentage, it's still no, 80. We have to go far away. So it's not should be physical evolution. So that's why I'm not sure what kind of things apply from the genetical field. But however, we have to find something new way how we can stimulate our neurons, the nerve part. I think some
Mhm.
of people are studying it. I think like Elon Musk, they also really interesting of those neurological part, because of if we can trigger something for those neurological part, it will be so helpful to quickly update physical part. So my view, I think evolution is two part. It's a physical and neurological. So curious is how we going to be upgrading neurological part. Then we can say something else. Maybe someone can breathe at the Mars in the future based on those technology, and then anthropogenically it could be happen. It means like people can be upgrade their self, and other part naturally happen. So it's something like very curious. We'll see in the future. Mhm.
So as we talked about space exploration, you are also promoting and you also believe a lot in astrotourism.
Yeah. So actually, extra tourism, how they classify, sending the people for out of the planet.
Mhm.
That is the how we just classified. For my view, but I think in like space type terrestrial tourism. Before we, because of astro tourism, is not that much familiar to each every people in planet Earth. Before we head into that stage, it's okay, because of that's why I told you people who having a rich and they do having a real ambition and they are curious to their plan, it's okay, they can do it. But where the crew and where the passengers, the passengers is people. So if the people unable to pay for this in the future, they don't have passengers. Example, if you have bus, so you are the driver, I am the conductor, we know how to driving and how to get the ticket, but we are transporting passengers. So if the passengers are not available, you have to find the passengers. That's why we need extra additional project, or providing the sum of things like space type terrestrial tourism. It means like you can open some of like restaurant. It could be you can design like a space. And then even though currently I have seen some of places in UK, and I know some of places in India also, they have been some boom hotels, and especially like Bali, they have this concept. And it doesn't mean like we have to shift into the space, but same experience, same feeling we can develop inside of the planet Earth by using the different type of tourism sector, especially like inside of the hotel it could be, and otherwise it can be something like some of like extreme conditions. Example, like someone can develop very interesting simulation based on the hotel sector at the Ladakh. It's almost like Mars. You can mention like hotel of the Mars, like a name. You can introduce them something like different type of kit, and just wear it and come inside our hotel and try to taste. You can introduce new type of food, and also the maybe those food something like equivalents to the food uh, that taken by the International Space Station. You can just make in the packets, and you can create in the some of like zero gravity stations. You don't need to be go to the International Space Station. There are some of like projects in planet Earth. You can visit to the zero gravity, taking some different type of foods. So that's what my intentions with the some of my books and other thing, to provide in space type tourism, and same time we can link astronomy, the way of prehistoric people seeing it, same domain we can link with the this subject also. Actually, those things are directly heading to the economy as a different branch. And then even the ground level people can in all those things. Not like people who having the highest money, because of with the very cheapest cost, anyone can visit to the some of like hotel and they can taste it and get the experience and the feeling. Because of even though where we visit or the environment or whatever the things, Prasad, I think it's what we feel, what we experience, what we see. So that is the environment We have to be create for the people.
Right.
So I think answer is clear. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I want you to suggest a book and a movie for our listeners.
Book. It's a good question because of I'm not that much familiar with the book because of I didn't read such books. However, I can tell you I really like the book called History of Evolutions, written by the Dr. I think I didn't remember that her name. However, it's a history of evolution. It means like it didn't contain such a scientific letters. It contains very nice images because of it. So actually, that book was writing the different type of fields. It's very unique and very interesting book to understand human evolution.
Mhm.
So that's why it's very even the primary type student can check the book. It's very simplified. I really like to seeing the things in very simplified way. That's why I like it. It's a history of human evolution. And for the movie, I goes with the Prometheus. I like Prometheus because
That's a
of
good
it's
one.
so scientific. Yeah.
Yeah. And to end with the interview, I want you to give a message for all the listeners and students out there.
Okay. I think everyone have a dream and don't get a formal dreams because of people are think they do have dream it should be a formal and if you need to be at the very childhood you think you need to be a doctor you need to be a maybe engineer it's a formal dream because of sometime it's not going to be happen if you need to be astrobiologist at the very young age it's not going to be happen I'm pretty sure because of only 10 percentage of the people achieve that target
Mhm.
it's missing that target but there is something good thing do something you really interested with the informal dream you don't have exact dreams actually it's not your dream but you are working something that you're really interested that is inside coming from your heart sometimes not from your mind it said yeah this is the things I need I had to work yes people are working work hard that's exactly true but the question is this the field that you're really interested that's the thing first you have to select the right field with your feeling and work for it with the informal dreams then real dreams will be coming true very soon I hope yeah
Well, that applies for me also a lot. I am in my engineering, and this is something which I need to do right now. So, Arvinda sir, thank you so much for being with us. It was a great conversation.
yeah
The way you took the examples and the way you simplified it was just amazing. Thank you so much for being with us.
and Prasad thank you very much for inviting me to having a discussion so with your youngest I really like to helping the youngest especially in the India because of that was my second country I have been done a lot of things with the Indian people and some of scientists and I wish very all the best for your crew and the team providing such a good things relevant to the astronomy and the space science. I hope in the future you can just achieve your target. And thank you very much.
So that was a beautiful conversation with Dr. Arvinda. If you have any other kind of doubt, we'll be mentioning his LinkedIn ID down in the description box and you can reach him out through that. If you are interested in such space related content, don't forget to follow every social media handle of AstroCapsule. Link of everything will be mentioned below in the description box. And also don't forget to comment your views and your suggestions down in the suggestion box.